news comes first. This is ABC-7 Extra.
Welcome to ABC-7 Extra. Good evening. I'm Paul Sikala. For the next half hour, we'll discuss the proposal for the Multipurpose Performing Arts and Entertainment Center. 12 years ago, the city promised voters an arena that would seat up to 15,000 people. It'd be considered an economic development driver. And now there's enough money to build a venue half that size. It may not be what voters wanted, but the city is saying that is what we can now afford. Should we build it? That's the question. We'll check in with tonight's guests in just a bit. Our guests include former El Paso Mayor John Cook, who was in office when the original 2012 Quality of Life Bond was passed that created the way for this project. City Representative Cassandra Hernandez, City Rep Chris Canales, who represents the district where the Multipurpose Center would be next to the historic Union Depot, and Joe Gudenrath, the Executive Director of the El Paso Downtown Management District. But before we get their perspectives, let's give you a quick update on the most recent proposal for the center and some of the events that led up to where we are right now, over a decade after the voters approved the quality of life bonds to pay for this project. After a full agenda on February 13th, officials unanimously voted to return to the discussion at that time in 4 weeks.
I think we have learned from past experiences that when the public is not included, then this project becomes mired in controversy.
During the meeting, city architect Daniela Quesada gave a presentation on the new proposed site, the Union Depot, located on San Francisco Avenue, covering nearly 13 acres. It's an Amtrak train station and a bus maintenance hub. After going through 13 other potential sites, Quesada said this location was best for the city's budget. She said it would come at no cost because the city owns the property. The center is expected to fit 8,000 seats. Funds for the center come from the 2012 Quality of Life voter-approved bond, providing about $150 million for the project. Controversy surrounding the center stems from a 2016 decision to build an arena in the Duranguito neighborhood, which has a number of buildings some people consider historic. This led to protests, petitions, and years of legal battles between the city of El Paso and historians.
Cease and desist all efforts to demolish the following properties.
The conflict was finally settled in January of 2023 when City Council voted in favor of moving forward with the multi-purpose facility, but not in Duranguito. Quesada says this location can bring great opportunities to the city.
There's plenty of acreage in the site. I know that design will play a key role in really opening up opportunities for what this facility can look like in the site. The opportunity of partnering with Amtrak. The consultants were very excited about us having the only entertainment venue in the entire nation where visitors can come via train to watch one of their favorite acts perform.
Quesada also told ABC-7 the location was best for the city's budget. This rendering from the city's presentation shows how they intend to use the space. Representative Chris Canales told ABC-7 if the project gets approved, it'll help restore an area in need.
This will allow it to be cleaned up and kind of given new life as a site for the public to enjoy.
This area scored the highest of the places that city staff were researching, according to this graph. The money available will be lower than originally set back in 2012 due to costs including litigation and consulting. A member of the city's Bond Overview Advisory Committee explained that city reps will be left with two options.
So they have one of two choices. They can either say, we can build a much smaller venue, or we can go back to the taxpayer and say, do you want to issue more debt?
I don't think that we should go back to the voters for more money. I don't think that there's the appetite for that from the city council. I don't think there's the appetite for that from the public.
ABC-7 received this statement from the city that said in part, the recommendation to develop the project on city-owned land within the Union Depot area, which would promote the adaptive reuse of a historic building and revitalize downtown while honoring the will of the voters by delivering a modern facility that is viable and profitable and within the voter-approved budget.
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
A voter-approved budget that spans back to 2012. And here we find ourselves over a decade later, still locked on this issue. And now that we've caught everyone up on how we've gotten to this point, I'd like to get everyone on our panel's input. In my story, we heard briefly from El Paso City Reps Cassandra Hernandez and Chris Canales. We'll catch up with you two in a bit, in addition to Joe Gudenrath, the Executive Director of the El Paso Downtown Management District. But first, let's chat with former Mayor John Cook. You were in office when the Quality of Life Bond passed in 2012, and I know this isn't what you may have envisioned at the time. And what are your thoughts on the new proposal, and what can we do to most effectively satisfy the commitment to taxpayers and citizens of El Paso who voted for this?
That's a great question, and the answer to it is, back in 2012, we asked the voters for a specific venue, a 15,000-seat multi-purpose center. We did not call it an arena, by the way, so I don't know how that tag got put on it. I know some people wanted it to be an arena, but we wanted a multi-purpose center that would be an annex to the convention center so that we could start bringing conventions in. If you look at the conventions El Paso's been able to bring in, the only large one was the bowling tournament, which was a half a year. And the only reason we could do that is because our convention center wasn't being used at all anyway. So why not let a bowling tournament use it for 6 months out of the year? So we didn't promise the voters that we were going to build a 4,000-seat indoor arena and a 4,000-seat outdoor arena between two railroad lines. We said we were going to build an annex to the convention center. So we either do that or we don't do it. We don't give them something that they didn't ask for. We don't give them something they didn't approve.
And we'll talk about some of those alternatives later in the show. Former Mayor Cook, thank you. And Mr. Gudenrath, I know you had mentioned in a report that the city has about $160 to $180 million to dedicate toward the project. Is that sufficient? And in your thoughts, where do we go from here?
Well, to build the project we need for downtown El Paso and the entire community, no, that's not enough money. And so rather than putting that money into a project that doesn't meet the overall needs of this community or the economic development strategy for our downtown, we're asking the city to take a step back. Let's examine all options, partnerships to get us to where we need to go, which is, like Mayor Cook said, that 15,000-seat arena that would be the economic driver for the community.
And you are watching ABC-7 Extra. Still ahead, we'll dive deeper into the issue on the Union Depot area potentially being utilized for the city's multi-purpose center. And we'll hear from a member of the City Council, Chris Canales, who represents that district, and City Rep Cassandra Hernandez, who's also been vocal about making sure the council get the public's input before the project moves forward. We'll be right back.